Good morning and welcome to October Tech 2022 at California State University, San Bernardino. We're glad you could join us for this event. This year's event is focused on the new Information Technology Services Strategic Plan 2022 to 2025 that centers around three bold themes: empower, transform, and innovate. Today and tomorrow, you'll hear from academics, students, administrators, and industry partners as they discuss and share their experiences in education, innovative pedagogies, and research-led XR projects to support diverse, equitable, and inclusive teaching and learning spaces. I invite you to attend all the sessions that have been carefully designed with you in mind, whether you're a student, faculty, or staff at CSUSB. Once again, welcome to October Tech 2022.
Thank you very much, Sam, and everyone else, good morning. I'd like to thank everyone for attending the ITS annual October Tech. This year, we're rolling out the ITS strategic plan that will be guiding the roadmap for the next 3 years for our division. As a central part of the ITS strategic plan is to communicate directives and report back to the campus community on our progress in meeting our goals as we roll this out. Now, this event is for the entire community, faculty, staff, and students. So everyone has a voice in the process of this, and everyone has a voice as we roll out our strategic plan in the future. Now, I guarantee that there's something for everybody in this. Now, over the next 2 days, there will be several panel discussions, there'll be demonstrations, and a deeper dive into the 3 pillars of the ITS strategic plan: empower, transform, and innovate. Some of the things we've got going on, we have a mocap demonstration from the students in the XREAL lab, which will be in the cave on the wedge side of the Fowle Library on Thursday during the student hour between 12 and 1 p.m. There's also a download party today in the cave, and tomorrow the download party will be at the Palm Desert campus. So students, there's pizza at both events, today at Cal State San Bernardino, and then tomorrow at Palm Desert campus for that download party. So make sure you get some pizza and get the software and technical assistance you need. We're also going to have a great presentation on Adobe Sign, and that's going to come on later on this afternoon. Now, there's also going to be tomorrow a great discussion on the metaverse with Dr. Mihaela Popescu and a really great panel of individuals that you want to see for that. Now, I do have to acknowledge that the last few months have been pretty challenging for all of us. We've been coming out of a pandemic. The years have just experienced an unprecedented flood that has impacted every aspect of life at CSUSB. As a testament to our resilience and strength, we continue to move forward. The Division of Information Technology Services will continue to provide world-class customer service to the faculty, staff, and students at both the Palm Desert and San Bernardino campuses. Now, during the course of the 2 days, there'll be several raffle prizes also. We have some great gifts, so stay tuned for that. And there'll be 3 today and actually 3 tomorrow. Now, also, I hope everyone's had the opportunity to experience our augmented reality Cody. I think you've seen them on the signs and also on our webpage. There's one that represents each college, and also be on the lookout for the 3D printed Codys. Some of those will be out today at our information booth between the SMSU North and the College of Ed building. So look for those little mascots, they're really great. But the AR mascot that we have and the 3D printed one is a demonstration of the augmented reality and 3D printing technology we have at CSUSB within ITS and also within the XREAL lab. So check those out. I believe Coyote Radio has been doing a great marketing program for that, and they have a prize for a $25 gift certificate if you hashtag Coyote Radio or the ITS technical support on Instagram. So if there's anything you've missed over the next few days, please go to the ITS website. You can watch the content again and really get a good understanding of what you may have missed and learn about it. And last, I want to thank everybody that has helped make this project possible. There's so many people I want to thank, and we'll thank them at the end of tomorrow. But again, thank you for all your help and support to put this event together. So I hope you enjoy your time with us. It's valuable information you're going to get from the ITS strategic plan, and you'll see what we have planned for you. So now, I'm running a little early, but I am going to hand this off to Pamela Moses, which will kind of give you a deeper dive into how we did this and where we're going. So Pamela, it's off to you.
Well, I'm really genuinely very excited to present the ITS strategic plan to the community. We've been working on this since January in 2022 into the summer, and we launched this plan this summer. And this is really our blueprint, our design plan for what we want to create for you over the next 3 years, the spring of 2025. And I want to share with you today the process that we used in building out this plan, because it has certain implications for the benefits that it's going to bring to you. And that we took a different approach this year. And so I really want to underscore some of those features that emerge from that process. I want to say that I'm joined here today by my colleague, Fady Muhadat, who is Associate Professor of Computer Science and Engineering. He was in one of the work groups and participated in the construction of this plan. So he's also going to share his perspective of contributing to this plan and a faculty perspective on what it holds for the campus community. And also J.C. Mariscal is contributing. He's a student in art and design, and he was also a member of one of the work groups. So he can bring to this his student experience from this experience of creating the plan. So today I'd like to present how we constructed this plan, why that matters, what are some of the features of it, namely that this plan is highly collaborative, inclusive, and it integrates assessment into the strategic plan elements. And then I'm also going to, in the course of this, introduce the 3 central goals and some key objectives. So we started planning in January, and the plan began with 3 little words: empower, transform, and innovate. These were, as Sam had said, 3 themes or organizing goals around which we built our vision for this plan. So in January, the leaders of the ITS departments put our heads together and really wrapped our minds around these very broad terms and what they mean to us as a division and how we see these as goal spaces. So we in fact define empower as an enterprise of empowering students, faculty, and staff at CSUSB by offering them technology-related information, services, professional development, and equipment that they need to succeed. We strive to help our community reach new levels of digital fluency and agility as well. So this is really about equipping people with knowledge and resources in order to succeed in their academic endeavors and professionally. We transform the way that we work and the way that we study at CSUSB by focusing on the human experience. We strive to offer easily accessible, accurate, intelligently designed systems that allow students, faculty, staff, and the community to interact with our institution seamlessly, both in person and digitally. So this is really focusing on the user experience. We want to bring not only our customary world-class customer service to the community, but now think about world-class user experience. And making this, interacting with the university as flexible and as easy for you as possible. The third goal area is innovate. We innovate by harnessing interdisciplinary ideation, leading-edge technologies, equity principles, design logic, data analysis, entrepreneurial spirit, and a tinker mentality to nurture the joy of learning, discovery, and public service. So innovate here is not strictly about leading edge technology or the newest, brightest, shiniest object in technology, but it's about a mindset and taking an interdisciplinary approach and kind of an experimental, inquisitive approach to thinking about technology and opportunities and creating something new. So there's another way that we can think about this set of goal areas, another dimension to them, as we can think about Empower as representing the continuation of the excellence that we strive for in customer service and the services and resources that we already provide. And we can think about Transform as changing the way that we do things to gain efficiencies and the next level of service. And then we can think about Innovate is really thinking outside the box, dreaming up and implementing things that we might not have thought of before, something entirely new. So starting with these three broad goal areas was a big change for the Division of ITS. In order to explain the implications of this, let me introduce you to or remind you of the structure of the ITS division itself. So you might think of ITS as being a help desk or a service for laptop lending or hotspot lending. And ITS does that, but it's a very large division with 6 different departments. Some of those departments have as many as 6 individual offices within them. There are over 100 staff members. And in the past, we have had a strategic plan that had 5 central goals rather than 3. And the mapping of these goals was fairly cleanly mapped into individual departments, which meant that these goal areas represented the priorities and the kinds of problem solving that are characteristic of these different departments and their resources. And the shift from 5 goal areas to 3, this challenges the ITS departments, leaders, and staff to work in a different way. Okay? There's now a blending of the boundaries between these different offices, departments, and a much more collaborative approach. And one of the implications here is as we're meeting the needs of the university, you now have cross-functional teams that are highly interdisciplinary, thinking about your needs and designing problems for them. So a need that in the past might not have fallen squarely into one of those 5 to 6 departments and 5 goals now has the opportunity of being addressed in a more seamless and flexible way. So that's one of the implications of this more collaborative approach that we're taking. Another is that with kind of a loosening of the priorities of the individual departments as we build out a plan, it opens up the question in a very wide fashion of what are the kinds of projects and lines of work that we're going to take up under each of these different goal areas, and what is going to inform what that shape is going to look like, the form and shape that will take. Well, we relied very heavily on input from you, from the campus community. So we began in February conducting a rather extensive listening tour, and we met with over a dozen different constituent groups. Some of those were groups that we identified and got on their calendar to meet with, and others like the student open forum, the faculty open forum, and the staff open forum were very deliberate attempts to talk with anybody who is willing to share with us what your pain points are, what challenges you have, and what desires you have for technology and technology services on campus. So the ITS leaders were really listening and with keen attention to your needs and your dispositions to really drive and shape this plan. And so I think of it as a very inclusive and ground up process. You are really fundamentally at the center of this plan. This plan is also inclusive in another way, and that's not just in the input, but in the 3 work groups that we had, one for each goal. And these work groups were co-chaired, each of them by an ITS leader and by a faculty member. And we have done this in the past so that we have sort of a broad leadership and taking the faculty experience into account. These work groups also included students. They included staff members outside of ITS and staff members in ITS and faculty members. additional faculty members. And we were very deliberate for the staff members and ITS to have representation across all of the different departments, so that again, these work groups are cross-functional and drawing from different types of expertise, problem solving, and viewpoints from within ITS itself. And having these varied work groups were really key because their main work in the spring and March through April was to gather together all this input that we had from different constituent groups and interpret that. What are some of the consistent patterns that we hear and what people are telling us about some of the rough spots with technology and some of the challenges that they have on campus? So that interpretive process, we wanted it to be from as inclusive a base as possible, and also to have very inclusive perspective and input in creating solutions and designing out this plan. Another way in which this plan was distinctive from the approach that we've taken before is that it integrated assessment practices within it. And by that, we started with the goals and objectives, but we also looked ahead, really starting with the end in mind and thinking about if we are wildly successful in achieving these goals and carrying out these different objectives, how do we really want to affect people and processes on campus? How can we articulate that improvement that we want to bring about and the change? And then what are some of the types of information or evidence that we can gather so that we can know whether we're really hitting the mark or moving the needle at all in terms of bringing about these improvements and change? And so we have within the strategic plan goals and objectives. We also have these stated outcomes or the kinds of impact that we envision the work having, and measures so that we can check on an annual and regular basis about how well we're doing in bringing about those kinds of change and benefits. So we have a structure, a process, effectively a mechanism within the plan that we can use for checking and seeing whether we're moving the needle. Now, and coming back to our plan, I want to highlight some of the objectives here so you can begin to unpackage this, although later today and tomorrow there will be sessions that are going to focus on each of these different goal areas and the objectives within them and what it means for you as a student, staff, or faculty member. So again, Empower is really about equipping people on campus with information, services for their professional development and educational careers. These objectives focus on student success, equipping students with what they need, professional development for faculty and for staff, and also communication. And I'd like to elaborate a little bit on that right now. One of the things that we learned in these listening sessions is that people don't have a very broad idea about what it is that ITS does and how we can best serve you. So I think about the strategic plan. I come from a background of brain and neural development. And if I think about the developing brain, you have a genetic blueprint, which lays out provisionally different connections in the brain for different functions. But really, normal development is an interplay between that blueprint and input from the environment, right? That baby or that young child has to use what it's got in its brain to solidify those connections. Right? So I think about the strategic plan as being a blueprint in that way. We've created a vision and ideas for what we want to carry out, but we are also looking to partner with you and having ongoing input in the course of these 3 years so that we can strengthen some of those new inroads that we're making, and we can also adapt and change to better fit your needs as they evolve and as we understand them across the course of these years. So an event today is really a first step in having that dialogue and sharing with you what you're doing, and also welcoming that reciprocal input from you. Empower also addresses accessibility. It's time to really elevate accessibility of materials on campus, and also state-of-the-art technology. So this refers to also elevating the software and hardware that we have all across campus and bringing them, ensuring that that's all up to date. In Transform, again, we're focusing on the human experience to offer intelligently designed systems to make it easy for you to interact with the university. And so some of the key objectives here focus on enhancing the MyCoyote app and portal to make a place for one-stop shopping and one-stop doing. Streamlining administrative processes, so we're paring away some redundancies and gaining efficiency across campus. Campus-wide solution refers to taking not a siloed approach and working with individual departments or groups, but thinking about the campus overall. And again, how can we gain some efficiencies and taking a broader and more integrated approach to problem solving. And Data Fabric is something that you probably haven't heard about. Most of us in the ITS leadership and who are in part of these work groups had a learning moment in coming to understand what Data Fabric is, but it's essentially a new way of managing data to increase accuracy and making it more easy and flexible to pull out and combine different types of data to inform decision-making on campus. And under the Innovate goal, we're harnessing both cutting-edge technologies, but also design thinking and design logic. And our objectives include reaching out to high schools to begin to have some alignment with the technology and softwares that students are experiencing before they come to campus to elevate literacy for students here while they are Coyotes. Focusing on the user experience and designing specifically with the user's needs in mind. And then there are 2 immersive learning spaces in the Virtual Connection Hub, which are about using virtual reality technology in new ways to enhance students' learning experiences and spaces where students can come together and learn. And the last one is about ITS and the ways that we're working within the community to share the good that we're doing more broadly with the Inland Empire. Okay, so now I'm going to turn this over to Fadi, who can tell us a little bit about his perspective as a faculty member through this whole process and is a reflection on the blueprint as it exists.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Pamela, and thank you, the ITS team, for this opportunity. First of all, to be part of the team who will kind of contribute to the Innovate goal. And I want to start with, to be honest with you, this is, as I said, this is indeed not in the shelf plan. The way it worked, we created like a diverse group. When I joined in, there were students, faculty, ITS staff, non-ITS staff, led by Dr. Babusco and Tanner as well. They did a great job to bring us all together, made a safe space, transparent. We were all speaking, talking about our brainstorming, sharing our ideas. They went through a really wonderful process of design thinking where we went through different phases when we developed this this goal, very interactive, and it kind of shows exactly how Innovate will eventually end up with. We started with a great session on assessment. Thank you, Pamela, for doing that, because that tells us more about whatever we are doing, everything has to be measurable. All our outcomes, how we measure it, how the best way to develop that outcome actually, and to support that goal and objectives. So it was a learning curve for some of us at least. It was a great experience for me to be part of this, and I really want to commend them for the process and how we were able to collaboratively work on and transparently work on this goal and come up with this nice objectives and outcomes and how we're going to measure them. And definitely it is a user focused. So everything we talked about it in how we're going to serve our students, our users, our community. And that's where, where most of our discussion, we agree, we disagree, which is normal and healthy, but eventually we end up with the wonderful outcomes and goals. So yeah, that definitely not in the shelf plan. Next, if you don't mind. So that was my role in on this committee or this working group. And I would love to end up saying it is really an ongoing dialogue. The pandemic, believe it or not, it changed us, changed the way we do education, gave us the opportunity to provide more tools, accessibility for our students to learn, to develop, and for ourselves as a faculty. I have a great trainings through the ITS and ATI. I have a great support from the university at large, and how to improve and update my skills. And I can see ITS is always my friend. I always, in any meeting, I say that ATI is your first friend you have to get together with when you come to CSUSB, because they get you on track, they get you to speed, and they brought you all those creative ideas and tools that you can make your transition easily. So definitely the plan was focused in our needs as a faculty. I'm talking about faculty. I can't talk about students because we serve students as well. So it definitely talks to our needs and how we can serve ourselves, our students, and our community better. My advice to my colleagues is basically stay involved, get in touch, review the strategic plan, see how you can benefit from these services, right? And how you can team up also with the ITS to keep improving. Definitely, it's as I said, it's an ongoing and open dialogue. People are welcoming our ideas. They are excited when we share any feedback. So providing a feedback, providing what's best practices, what worked for us, try to help keep the cycle going. This is an ongoing cycle process and assessment process that they are really proud of, and I'm really proud of being part of this process. So definitely working with them, keep providing feedback, best practices is the best thing I can say. Also use these services to encourage our students, not only just to use it, but possibly integrate some of that in our curriculum. That way we can add more weight, more strength on the needs and the importance of what those services are being offered. And we use our students basically to provide those feedbacks, and then we can take those to keep the dialogue going with the ITS. So again, it was a great opportunity for me to be part of this. I'm looking forward to see how things are gonna go in the future. So thank you so much for that.
Great. Thank you so much, Fadi. And I think JC may not be able to join us. So maybe you can speak a little bit, not from the student perspective, but what your experience was like having students within the working group, and what you think that the student, how you see the student perspective reflected in this process of working out the objectives and the assessment elements for the different goals.
To be honest with you, I mean, I always claim that I have really very close to my students and I can hear them well. But when we have JC and other students in the group, definitely I had a different understanding. I still, having him there and talk about it, exactly how they feel about those statements, because the way when we do it, like Tanner and Dr. Babisco, they did like, Figma Jam, like where we had this like a shared workspace. We were like moving things around. So I might put something in the West, he put it in the East. So then when we open the room for talking and discussion, definitely when we hear him talking about it, oh, that makes a lot of sense. So definitely having students in any work group, to be honest with you, and even a part of the thing that I learned from the ACLE, another institute that I was part of, is to have our student be part of the even assessment process for our classes and course outcomes. So definitely hearing him being there is invaluable experience, and I will encourage any committee in moving forward, not only ITS, in our in the disciplines, to have students representative in those, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree. I think they came up with things that I hadn't considered, that I wouldn't have considered, and it's very compelling when students are partnered with you. It's very hard not to want to incorporate all of their needs when you have students that are really engaged and wanting to improve the campus, not only for themselves, but for all the students. Yes. Well, let me open this up. Does anyone have any questions about anything about the plan, the process, or about the content, or what lies ahead? Yes.
Here, I'll go ahead and jump back into it for this one. One of the things I think is in this process is the reporting part of it. That's something the ITS leaders are quite well aware of, but I think that's something that should be brought into is the process that we're using for reporting our progress on the strategic plan.
Yes, so we have reporting what I think of as sort of conventional reporting of how things are progressing. Are we checking off the boxes as we meet the milestones on different legs of these projects? And particularly this multi-year projects. What is that looking like? Are there any roadblocks? Are we lagging or falling behind? So I think of that as progress reporting. We want to know whether the work is getting done. But then the assessment part of that is really gathering information to tell us how we're affecting people. You know, the work that is getting done, you know, is it producing the kinds of benefits? Are people finding the experiences valuable? Is it gainful for them? Are they learning? Are they applying what they learned? And is this bringing about actual change? So we have within this plan different ways of gathering feedback from the community, looking at the kinds of work that are produced, the kinds of actions that people take as a result of the resources and services that we're putting together. So sort of for each of these different objectives and outcomes that we're desiring, we have multiple or clusters of information that we can use to make sense of and begin to understand how we're affecting processes, efficiency, and people on campus. And so then that's designed to take place on an annual basis so that we can, as a division, see where we're going and use that as a mechanism for improving or adjusting things and changing things up in the following year. Yeah, so that is part of the DNA of this plan as well. And I think that, and it's a difference, this current plan is different from previous plans in that other plans, the design had been made, and then that process of designing an assessment component came at the end of that, which also works, but then it's not quite as seamless as when you do these and weave it together and build it simultaneously in the architecture that we have. Yeah, and it's a learning process, right? that whole process you improve upon as you move through it multiple times. Yeah.
Hey, Pamela, I think we do have a question from one of the students that's actually in the XREO lab.
Excellent.
Yeah, it says, what is the ATI's strategic plan, which is part of ITS?
Yes. So that's an interesting question. So, you know, as I had said that in the beginning, that in previous plan, we had a set of goals, and there was kind of a one goal area for each different department. So it was easier to identify the things that were specifically associated with ATI. Now in this plan, there are sort of bits of it in different places, but under Empower, the element of, or the objective for professional development falls squarely within the work that ATI is doing. And that is designed to continue to provide support for faculty in teaching online courses, so continuing to provide the quality online teaching courses and series that have been available to faculty, to teaching them and increasing their confidence in using the next generation classrooms for co-synchronous teaching, so that some students might be remote and others are there in the classroom, and they're using technology to address all those students all at once in real time. And also to help faculty adopt technologies that are related to teaching and enhancing teaching performance across modalities, whatever that might be. And then that kind of segues into the XREO lab. Then in the innovation goal, there are provisions for helping faculty to adopt augmented reality and X-reality techniques within the classroom. There are plans to create what you might call plug and play elements, so that a faculty member who's not an expert on virtual reality might be, or augmented reality, extended reality, might be able to take elements of that, adapt it fairly readily for use in different modules or different parts of their course. And then there's also plans to coach faculty who want to redesign their course and really take a deep dive with these technologies and build their course around it, so that there's a real infusion, so that there are different levels of support for faculty. And the ongoing and evolving technologies and opportunities, right, to create really cool experiences for students, and to help them also manage the inherent overwhelm of all the new apps that come at them, and try to, one of the things that we heard is that knowing that there is a new app for them to use in the classroom is not particularly helpful. What really would be helpful is to understand what the potential benefit might be, what context they might be able to use it successfully in, and to support them with that kind of a perspective, so that they can more readily adopt and take advantage of these different technologies, rather than being overwhelmed and trying to solve those individual problems and the adoption for their classes on their own.
Let me ask Fadi a question also, because this is we know this is one of the students from the X-Real Lab that asked this question. There's another question here from another student. How do we plan on standardizing applications for students and staff alike across the campus? That's a good one. I'll go that to you, Pam, first, and then I'll think about the question for Fadi here.
So read the question again. For standardizing,
how do you plan on standardizing applications for students and staff alike across the campus?
Well, I don't know exactly. I'm not certain that I don't know. So I'll answer. I'm not certain if I'm really grasping the question. But we are trying to create portals or places where people can go to. They don't have to understand multiple different departments and how those departments function, but they can go to one place on the website, have a single interface for managing interactions that they might have across multiple departments. So I think of that as kind of standardizing or streamlining processes or applications. Does that address my question?
I think there's one part of that. Another aspect of, and there's a lot of aspects of it, and this is kind of why over the next 2 days, we're gonna go kind of deeper dive in some of this. I think for the next part, Empower, we'll kind of go into some of this. But
more like
for the applications, there is a component in the strategic plan about looking at all the different software that's available at the campus, and trying to get the information out to the entire community. So one division may want the same software that another division wants, but the two don't know that they both want it. So by having that information to the public saying, we already have this, we're using this software on this campus, then the other departments can note may not have to go through the whole process of that we've had to for procuring that software because it's already here. So that's one aspect of it. There's a lot of different aspects to that. That's one element to it that goes from there. And now I'm going to jump to Fadi's question really quick. The question I had just about the X-Real Lab and the strategic plan for technology, the new immersive technologies that our faculty and students will be using.
All right. Well, actually, it is a, again, nice question. Being part of the X-Real Lab before, I believe that the openness of the lab and the tools the lab, the expertise the lab is having to any ideas that the faculty comes in with is amazing. I can see like several examples, and I'm actually currently working with the lab on developing a material for my class where the students might have hard time understand, to build an augmented reality application. So the existence of the tools, the expertise, and the support from the lab is making my my course more accessible, more like enjoyable for students. And definitely I can see there is a cross kind of interdisciplinary between different kind of between different majors and disciplines to create a better application and support for other courses utilizing the power of X-Real Lab. Sorry, I'm not sure if I answered the question the way you asked it, but my understanding is I can see how much it is involved and can be used, and I can see the students also perspective in using the technology is encouraging us to adapt, you know, augmented reality and virtual reality into our classes and education process.